What's going on, everybody? Today I want to talk about Diablo Immortal versus Undecember. Now, before we jump into all the commonly asked questions that I've been seeing about this game, I do want to mention I'm not quitting Diablo Immortal. I still am uploading daily content for this game. You'll see a video tomorrow and the following day. But I have created another channel for those people out there that are interested in Undecember content. You can see I've already uploaded my first video, and I plan on uploading at least daily for the next couple of weeks if you are interested in checking that out. I'll probably have a video or at least 2 to 3 videos by the time this video goes live on the Undecember channel. Now, the questions we're going to be answering today here for Undecember versus Diablo Immortal are a lot of the things that people are worried about or things that they had concerns about with Diablo Immortal. The most prominent question is the game pay to win? And if it's pay to win, can you earn things in the game to make up for it? For example, in Diablo Immortal, as many of you know, you cannot earn legendary gems for the most part. They're so unattainable that it takes months, if not years, to get a single upgrade as free to play for you to progress your residence. So it's basically completely locked out for you. Now, in this game, it is pay to win, but there are a lot of features, as far as I know, that improve the game. Not only that, but I want to talk about the class system, how the skills work, and of course, just the general content within the game. Let's start off with, this game is a mobile ARPG with a PC port. I'm currently playing on Steam, which is one of the reasons why I decided to download the game in the first place. If this was mobile only, I probably would not have played it. I'm not a huge fan of mobile only games, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to play Diablo Immortal. But this game is incredibly fun. Let's talk about the classes first off here. Now, obviously in Diablo Immortal, we have the 6 classes, and you have to change between them every week. And with that class, you have a certain set of skills, certain set of weapons, and kind of a certain playstyle. In this game, this has gone a completely different route. The way this works is your stats, your skills, and your weapons determine what class you are, and you can change all of those 3 things at any point in time, albeit you have to have the resources to do so. So it's not, okay, I want a class change and be equally as strong to another class. That's probably not going to work. You're going to have to earn each class and get the materials to go ahead and upgrade each class. But you can see here I'm running a dual axe build. I'm kind of running as a barbarian, which is kind of funny because I'm playing a barbarian in Diablo Immortal right now. And I'm running a whirlwind build. Now, with this build here, the way it works is you're just going to put your skills, these things are called skill runes, into this kind of menu right here. And whatever skills you put in here determine what skills you're going to use. You can see you can have up to 5 skills available. You can have 2 sort of rotations of skills. If you wanted to have kind of like a specific version of your skills for in the second slot or whatever. But you can only have 5 skills, maybe 10 skills available at a single time. These skills are upgraded based on these linking slots. The more you have linking runes linked to them, it can improve your skills or just change them outright. Now, the amount of skills in the game is honestly pretty insane. You have a ton of skills to go through. If I just go through to the rune compendium here, you can see these are kind of like your physical warrior-based skills. These are going to be your dexterity rogue-based skills, and these are going to be your intelligence mage-based skills. Now, you can use a combination of these. You can use all of one type, all of another type. It really depends on what you want to do. Now, what's super important is you can change this at any time. You can improve whatever skills you want. You can improve whatever weapons you want. It's really based on what skills you want to use and what stats you go for. We have a strength, dex, intelligence-based system, and you can reset these points at any time. You can see I can reset it right now if I wanted to, which I just did. It cost me a little bit of gold, but I can go ahead and dump all my points back in here if I wanted to, which is very easy to do. And then I can just max it out once again. Again, very simplistic to go ahead and do. Now, what's important about this is that there's no class-based system. You can just do whatever you want as you go through the game. Let's say you really hate your class, you want to change, okay, do it. It's not that big of a deal. But one thing to be sure is that you do want to make sure you're kind of managing your resources properly so you can make those changes. But I love this system so you're not locked in or you don't feel locked into one class. And as you're improving your character, you're basically improving the whole game in terms of viability for your mage classes, your rogue classes, or your physical classes. Now, with all of that being said, let's talk about the gameplay in the game. What are you doing? So the first thing you're going to do when you enter the game is enter the acts. This is a 10-act system. This is kind of like your 1 to 60 journey in Diablo Immortal. You're going to go through essentially the campaign and finish each one of these maps. And as you go through, you'll increasingly get harder and harder. You'll have to improve your gear, and you'll fight bosses as you go along. Now, I do want to note, this is actually a way harder game than Diablo Immortal. I have not died yet a single time, which is very rare. If I just look at the ranking system, you can see the challenge episodes and things like that. These are like for people who have not died at all. You play some leaderboards, you can see this little gravestone right here. I'm currently ranked 745 because I have not played as much as these guys have, but I have not died yet, which is very, very hard to do in this game. You can see, if we just look at the people who have cleared first, 170 deaths, 28 deaths, 149 deaths, a ton of deaths from each one of these people because the game is very difficult. And it's not like you can just face roll through it like Diablo Immortal. You actually will lose boss fights over and over and over again if you don't upgrade your abilities, if you don't actually go ahead and invest some time into learning the fights, dodging, making a kind of comprehensive build. All these things that you actually need to do, where Diablo Immortal, you kind of can just face roll through the beginning of the game. In fact, you can kind of face roll through all of the game, which is unfortunate, to say the least. I like the way that this game is very, very difficult, and I enjoy the idea of running like this hardcore character where I'm trying not to die. Now, along with the campaign, there's also a lot of group content to do. This game is multiplayer, so you have like these party kind of dungeon type areas. You have raids to go and do, which are actually difficult raids. And it's not warband locked, thank goodness. And we also have, later on in the game, the end game. Now, I don't know a crazy amount of this, but in the end game, you're going to be running through the maps and kind of farming the maps over and over again, similar to open world farming, but just slightly different. So that is kind of what you're going to be doing in the game, very similar, but it's not kind of what you do in the game for most of these people. It's going to be how you improve your character by what you're doing, right? In Diablo Immortal, you're getting that combat rating, you're getting your set items, etc., etc. In this game, you're going to do very similar things in improving your gear. You're going to be grinding for actual drops in the world, but also grinding for materials to upgrade and change the rarity of your gear pieces to get higher stats. Now, this is a very, very fun mechanic, and this is where kind of the pay-to-win elements start to creep in. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about kind of how you improve your character along with pay-to-win in the same topic because they kind of go hand in hand, right? But the way you're going to upgrade your character is by enhancing and enchanting your armor and weapons, or by enhancing your runes. Now, if we just go over here to the shop, we'll find out that you can get a ton of different things in the shop by spending money. For example, you get a bunch of different essences. You can get a bunch of different identification scrolls. You can get a bunch of different rune bursts, which is going to help you change the linked slots on your runes, which of course, most of you don't know about that, but it does really change the power of your skills. More essences. We have a bunch of random things in here. I don't even know what some of these do, but a ton of different purchasing things you can make in the shop. Now, this is, of course, able to produce power for your character. You're actually able to pay to win. However, although you can pay to win, and technically you can do so in Diablo Immortal as well, this is a little bit different in that you could just straight up kind of buy the resources to get certain things in the game compared to the gacha system. There's still a couple of gacha forms in this game as well. When you're going through, there's some like enchanting and things. You can say it's not really like a gacha system because you are rolling gear stats, but I guess that's kind of a gacha system, etc. It's RNG, but you can pay to win in this game. Now, this, of course, is a large portion why people don't want to play the game. However, you can grind for a lot of these things much easier than in Diablo Immortal. Now, from what I've understood, you have a pity system for rolling up to the highest maximum potential for some of your gear stats or for your runes, and it looks like you can get and acquire max runes, which is basically like a max skill or like a really powerful skill. I wouldn't compare it to a 5 out of 5 in Diablo Immortal in terms of gems or anything like that, because it's not really comparable. But anyways, you can really grind your way as a free to play. Now, it's not going to be easy, and it's certainly pay to win, but you can do it. The bigger problem, in my opinion, in this game, and this is something that Diablo Immortal does a little bit, but not nearly as much as this game, is the quality of life. Looting and walking over loot. You can buy pets that auto loot for you, which, okay, not a big deal. But then you can also buy extra material storage, charm storage, more material storage, chaos card storage, essence storage, general storage, and bag space. All of these things are pure pay to win. These things you cannot grind for, which is really unfortunate. And I will say, and a lot of people have some arguments for this, but regardless, you will run out of backspace extremely quickly in this game. And it's honestly a little annoying to go back and forth between running around in the maps and going and emptying out your bags. The account storage is very small. You can see we get 2, and if you wanted a third one, you have to buy it. And you can see I'm basically full up on one whole material storage, and I haven't even been playing the game for that long. And I'm sure in the next couple of days, I will have a completely full storage, and I really can't do anything about that. It's kind of doomed for me. I just have to deal with my limited storage. I actually don't even know in the end game if we're able to efficiently farm at all because the bag space is so low. This is a concern I have, and this is probably the biggest concern when it comes to pay to win. Now, I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, this is the least egregious form of pay to win. It's all just pay for convenience because of the bag space, et cetera, et cetera. In my opinion, yes, you can pay for power. Yes, I'm glad you can grind for it. The fact that Diablo Immortal, you can't grind for it is a big problem. However, if you're going to make the game less fun because you have to continuously do things that other people do not have to do, and purposefully kind of force people to buy inventory space for you to even enjoy what I to believe the end game, granted, I'm not there yet, so I can't really give a hard judgment, but I believe it'll get worse just because I've seen it get worse from level 1 to level 30, which I am now. I think that is a big problem. And honestly, the thing that's the biggest issue with this game, and I can see it getting much, much worse. I've said many times in Diablo Immortal that one of the best things I enjoy buying is the Boon of Plenty. Why? Well, because it gives me extra inventory space so I don't have to salvage as often, and I can just run open world farming much easier. And in this game, that takes it to like times 10. It is so much worse in this game. And that, in my opinion, is my least favorite part about this game. And what this makes this game extremely pay to win is the fact that your storage and your materials and your bag space is not farmable, and it's really hindering in terms of progression. So pay to win, obviously, is pretty egregious in all of these games. It just is what it is. Torchlight is very similar, auto-looting pets, extra power from your pets, and all this type of stuff. All of these mobile ARPGs are pay to win. It just is what it is. But I will say, I wish that these developers will change it. I'm sure they'll never change it, but to give us some way to grind for extra bag space in the game. And I think that's one of the biggest downsides for this game. But if you're interested in trying it out, which I highly suggest you do so, if you enjoyed Diablo Immortal, I recommend you trying out this game. You know, if you take a break from Diablo Immortal 2-3 days, you can just jump back into the game, grind it up real quickly because of the boosted XP, and you can just give this game a shot. I'm sure there are many out there that will hate this game, and there are many out there that will enjoy the game. One thing I will note, in my personal opinion, that I've liked in Undecember more than Diablo Immortal is the skill system. I love the comprehensive skill system and the way it works with your class that you kind of create yourself. I think that Diablo Immortal is very simplistic, and I didn't really need to think much for the builds. There are a lot of people out there that are saying, oh, you don't know how to build correctly. You don't know how to do this, this, and this. The game is incredibly easy in Diablo Immortal, and most people, you can run whatever you want and be successful. And the builds don't really have that much difference in them, to be honest. There's not a crazy amount of variety compared to some of these other games out there, like this one, where one singular skill can have 2 to 3 different variations in that one skill, which kind of similar to the legendary items in Diablo Immortal. But then you don't just have like 10 skills, you have 36 skills, and then the combinations of the skills can lead to different outcomes as well, and you have some really insane things you can do. So this is the biggest thing I like about this game. And one thing I'll say about Diablo Immortal that I like better about than this game is just the fact that I feel like Diablo Immortal is smoother. You have WASD movement, which is kind of an important thing. I can't control my movement binding. I tried to bind it to spacebar in this game, but I couldn't do it. So that's kind of been irritating for me a little bit. It's not a huge deal, but it is something to mention. Diablo Immortal looks better, it's smoother, and it just feels like more quality of life in that game than this game, which is kind of funny because we complain about it all the time in Diablo Immortal, but it just goes to show you how I think that this game has some severe issues with quality of life, especially pertaining to the player experience. And you might say, oh, well, it's just pay to win. That's kind of how the game is going to be. But I think that when your pay to win gets to a point where your quality of life and your player experience gets hindered, I think that's when it's too much. It's fine for paying for power, but if your game is less fun in terms of just you trying to grind content, you have to stop because it's pay to win, I think that's a little bit unfortunate. So those are my last thoughts on Undecember. The game is multiplayer, the game is free, and the game is on Steam. If you want to check it out, I'm on the America server. There's only global servers or region locked servers. So it's very simple to go out and play with me if you want to check it out. And I encourage you to do so. Completely free. Just, don't spend money. I haven't spent any money in this game, and I've been enjoying it thoroughly. And hopefully I'll be able to get to end game in the next couple of days. So if you want to check that out, or if you want to check out my second channel for Undecember, be sure to sub to this channel or that one for those pieces of content. And I will see you for the next video. Peace.